My grandma gave me her antique wedding ring before she died. It wasn't worth much, but it meant everything. One night, my sister asked to see it one more time. I never saw it again. When I asked about it, she said, "You're too sentimental." I needed it for something real. 3 weeks later, I spotted it on a pawn shop website. She'd sold it for $120 and bought a used tablet. Let me just say this, I'm not proud of what I did. But I don't regret it. This all started last year, about 4 months after my grandma died. Her name was June, and she was everything to me. She raised me more than my own parents did. When I was sick, she was the one who held a cold rag to my head. When I was scared, she was the one who told me stories until I fell asleep. And when she got older and weaker, I was the one who helped her get out of bed, who made her tea, who listened to her talk about Grandpa like he'd just left the room. She had this ring. A simple little gold band with a small diamond that had gone cloudy over the years. It wasn't fancy. I think a jeweler once said it was worth about $80, maybe $100. But to her, it was priceless. She wore it every single day until her fingers got too swollen from the meds. Then she kept it in a little red velvet box on her nightstand. One day, a couple months before she passed, she called me into her room. She was quiet, and her skin looked even thinner than usual. She handed me that box and said, "You know why this matters. I want you to have it." I said, "Grandma, are you sure?" She nodded. "You're the only one I trust with it." I wore it on a chain after that. I didn't care that it looked old or that people thought I was weird for wearing it every day. It reminded me of her. Of what family's supposed to feel like. Which brings me to my sister. Erica. Erica is 4 years older than me and has always acted like she was better than everyone. She wasn't cruel in a loud way, more like the kind of person who'd say something passive-aggressive and then smile like she'd just asked about the weather. She moved out right after high school and barely came around after that unless she needed something. Money, help moving, attention. She never really cared about Grandma. I don't remember her visiting once in the hospital those last weeks. So I was surprised when she showed up at my place one night with a bottle of wine. She said she just wanted to hang out. We sat on the couch, talking about random stuff. Then she asked about the ring. "I keep thinking about it," she said. "Can I see it again?" Just for a second. I hesitated. Something felt off. But I wanted to believe she was being genuine. I wanted to believe we could have a normal moment. So I went to my room, got the ring off the chain, and handed it to her. She turned it over in her hand, smiled faintly, and said, "You should really get it appraised. You might be surprised." I said, "It's not about the money." She laughed a little. "Of course it is. You're just pretending it's not." Then she handed it back. Or at least I thought she did. I went to the kitchen to rinse out our glasses. When I came back, the ring was gone. I tore apart the apartment for hours. Every couch cushion, every drawer. I texted her that night. She replied, "You probably lost it. You're always misplacing things." That was a lie. I don't lose things. Especially not that. 3 days later, I called her. She didn't bother pretending anymore. "I needed it for something real," she said, like I was the idiot for being upset. "What the hell does that mean?" "It means I needed money and you're too attached to junk. It's not like it's some treasure." I felt like my chest was caving in. "You sold Grandma's ring?" Click. She hung up. I didn't hear from her again. Not a word. Not a sorry, not an explanation. Just silence. 3 weeks later, I was scrolling through a pawn shop's website looking for a used bookshelf. Don't ask me why, I wasn't even serious about buying anything. But there it was. On a cheap white cloth, under bad lighting, was Grandma's ring. Same chip on the band. Same cloudy diamond. Price, $120. I called the shop and said I wanted to buy it immediately. I didn't care what it cost. I drove from Akron to Canton that same day. Snow coming down hard. I could barely see out my windshield, but I didn't care. I had to get it back. The guy behind the counter confirmed it. A woman matching Erica's description had brought it in. Said she needed cash fast. I asked, did she say what for? He shrugged. She mentioned something about getting a used tablet. A goddamn tablet. She traded our grandmother's most cherished possession for a scratched-up screen that'll be outdated in 6 months. That's when something in me shifted. I got the ring back. It's in my house right now, back on the chain, safe. But I couldn't let it go. Not this time. Erica had to feel it. She had to understand what she'd done. And I wasn't going to scream at her or cry. I was going to make her pay. After I got the ring back, I couldn't stop thinking about her face. The smug way she'd said I was too sentimental. Like loving grandma made me stupid. Like I was a child holding on to junk while she was out there doing real things. I wasn't going to let her just walk away from this. So I started small. Erica worked at a local real estate office in Cuyahoga Falls, mostly paperwork, filing, sometimes showing houses when the main agents were busy. She liked to post pictures on Instagram of herself at work, holding a latte next to some boring beige house like she was killing it. She always wanted to seem more important than she was. That's where I started. I made a burner Instagram. Used a different name, grabbed a photo of some generic guy off Google. I followed her page, liked a bunch of her posts, sent her a DM telling her I loved her taste in design and asked if she could help me find a property in the area. Told her I had cash and needed to move fast. Said I was from out of state, which explained why I couldn't meet in person right away. She ate it up. Within 2 days, she was texting me listings, bragging about her connections, even offering to meet me at a place in West Akron to secure a showing before other buyers jumped on it. But I never showed. Instead, I reported her to the brokerage manager. I used a second burner email, said I was a client who got ghosted after setting up a showing, and now I was considering filing a complaint with the state licensing board. I included screenshots of texts, doctored slightly, to make it look like she'd promised a showing, missed it, then got nasty when I asked why she flaked. A week later, her Instagram was wiped clean and her work bio vanished from the brokerage site. I don't know if she got fired or just suspended, but I do know this, she wasn't bragging about closing deals anymore. But that wasn't enough. She still didn't know it was me. She still thought she'd gotten away with it. So I waited a few more weeks. Then I hit her where it hurt even more. Her boyfriend, Mike, was a decent guy. I didn't know him well, but we'd met a few times over the years. Quiet, a little dull, worked in HVAC. But he seemed to genuinely like her. So I told him the truth. I sent him a long message, again from a burner number, with screenshots of the pawn shop post, the listing, and a picture of the ring from the day I got it back. I told him how she'd stolen it from me, lied to my face, and sold it for a used tablet like it was nothing. I ended the message with, if she can do that to her own sister, what do you think she'll do to you? A few days later, her relationship status vanished from Facebook. Then I saw a post from her, just a quote on a black background. Some people don't deserve your loyalty. She thought she was the victim. I almost laughed. But I wasn't finished. I knew her weakness better than anyone. She hated being embarrassed. Erica always needed to be seen as the smart one, the put-together one. So I went public. Not in a loud, viral way. Just enough to stain her reputation. I posted on Reddit. On Facebook. On local forums under fake names. Little stories, about a friend who sold their dead grandma's wedding ring for a tablet, and how the sister found it online weeks later. I made sure the details lined up close enough for anyone who knew her to guess. And it spread. People started talking. Mutual friends started pulling away. I heard from one that Erica wasn't invited to a baby shower because people didn't want drama. She started posting less. Her account went private. Eventually, she blocked me. Like that would help. But the best part? She messaged me one night. It was just one sentence: "Why are you doing this to me?" I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "You did this to yourself the second you sold that ring." She didn't respond. But I know she read it. A few weeks after Erica went silent, I thought it was over. But then I got a letter in the mail. It wasn't handwritten. It came from a law office in downtown Akron, some cheap outfit that mostly handled traffic tickets and small claims. Inside was a formal request for return of property, claiming that I was in possession of something that didn't belong to me. The ring. I actually laughed when I read it. Laughed so hard I startled my dog. But under the laughter, I felt that familiar rage creeping back in. Erica wasn't trying to apologize. She wasn't trying to make it right. She was trying to take it back. Legally. I called the number listed and asked to speak with the attorney. A woman with a tired voice picked up. I told her everything: the theft, the pawn shop, the receipt I had from buying it back. I even emailed her a copy of the original pawn listing with the date and photo of the ring. She got real quiet after that. She said, "I'm going to advise my client to drop this." I said, "Yeah, you do that." 2 days later, I got another letter. Case closed. No further action. But something had changed. Now I knew Erica wasn't just humiliated, she was desperate. And I wasn't done twisting the knife. You see, I still had one more card to play. Grandma had left behind a handwritten journal. I never told anyone I had it. Inside were pages and pages about her life, her fears, her disappointments, and her family. She wrote about Erica. And it wasn't flattering. One entry hit hard. Dated a year before she died, I don't know what happened to Erica. I see coldness in her. Sometimes I worry she's lost the part of her heart that knows how to love anything that doesn't benefit her. I made a copy of that page. Just the handwriting, the date, the paragraph. Then I mailed it to Erica. No note. No return address. She never acknowledged it. But a week later, she deactivated every social account she had. Now I could have stopped there. But I didn't. One of Erica's biggest goals was to get licensed as a full-time real estate agent. She'd been taking classes part-time, bragging about it for months. Said she'd be running her own team by next year. So I made a call to the Ohio Division of Real Estate. I didn't accuse her of anything directly. I just asked what their policies were on ethics violations involving theft from a family member, especially items of inherited value. They said that technically, it wouldn't block someone from getting licensed unless they had a criminal record or a civil judgment against them. So I filed a police report. Not because I thought they'd arrest her. They wouldn't. But I wanted a paper trail. I wanted her name tied to the word theft in some database somewhere. I attached the pawnshop receipt. The photos. The texts. Even the message where she said, I needed it for something real. The cop was polite, almost amused. He said, "You're probably not getting charges filed. But this'll stay on file." That was enough for me. Because Erica? She would know it was there. And every time she filled out a background check, every time she went for a license or a loan or anything official, she'd remember. And that's the thing about people like her. It's not jail they fear. It's being exposed. It's losing control. It's knowing someone finally outsmarted them. About 2 months after I filed the report, I heard through a mutual friend that Erica had failed her licensing exam. Not because of the theft, at least not directly. She'd been so stressed, so distracted, she bombed it. Then she missed the window to retake it and had to start the paperwork all over again. She'd also been forced to move back in with mom and dad. That part hit me harder than I expected. See, they didn't know about any of this. I never dragged them into it. I didn't want to split the family more than it already was. But they weren't thrilled to have their 34-year-old daughter suddenly sleeping in the guest room and moping around like a teenager. That's when the phone call started. First, Mom. Can you come over? Erica's been acting off. I told her I was busy. Then Dad. I don't know what happened between you two, but it's time to let it go. I almost told him everything. Almost. But I didn't. Instead, I just said, when she tells you the truth, I'll consider it. A week later, Mom called again, this time crying. She said you're trying to ruin her life. That you're stalking her. I felt my jaw tighten. She stole Grandma's ring and sold it for a tablet. Silence. Then Mom whispered, is that true? Yes. More silence. Then she hung up. The next day, Erica texted me. No games. No fake tone. Just one message. I messed up. I didn't respond. She tried again the next day. I'm sorry. I was broke. I was desperate. I didn't think you'd notice. I stared at that one for a long time. Didn't think I'd notice? The one thing Grandma left me, and she thought I wouldn't notice? I still didn't reply. Then came the third message. Please. Just talk to me. I don't have anybody left. That one stuck with me. More than I wanted to admit. Because here's the part one haven't told you. I made mistakes, too. I didn't just go after her job. I humiliated her. I rubbed it in. I sent that journal page because I wanted her to feel abandoned, the way she made me feel when she sold that ring. I wanted her to wake up at 3 a.m. and feel small and unloved. And she did. I didn't forgive her. I still haven't. But I started to realize I wasn't proud of who I'd become either. I won, yeah. I got the ring back. I ruined her fake little world. I made sure she'd never forget what she did. But I also became someone who lied, manipulated, destroyed from the shadows. Just like she had. So I sent one message back. We're not sisters anymore. But I hope someday you understand what that ring meant. And I hope you never forget what you gave it up for. That was the last time we spoke. She moved out of state a few months later. I heard she's working retail now. Living in a rented room. Still chasing something that makes her feel important. As for me? The ring's still on my chain. I still wear it every day. And sometimes, when I feel the weight of it against my chest, I remember my grandma's voice. You're the only one I trust with it. I kept that promise. And I made sure the one who broke hers would never forget it.